Hey you guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Eden Strader. For those of you who don't know me, I am a destination wedding photographer and educator based in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm so excited to dive into this first video with you today, talk a little bit about what I wish I knew my first year in business, my first year full-time. I've been full-time now for about 3 years, actually 3 years like a week ago. And there are so many things that I wish I could go back in time, tell myself a little bit more about so that I could skip some nitty-gritty learning experiences. So I'm super excited to dive into these with you. Okay, number one, spend your money wisely. In the first year of your business, whether that's just your first year in general or your first year full-time, this is really like the first time you're probably earning a profit off of what you love doing, which is super rad. But it's also really tempting to start acquiring business expenses. And it's super easy to think of that money differently because it is different, right? It belongs to your business, not technically you. It's a tax write-off.
How is it a write-off? They just write it off.
And so, not to say that you shouldn't be buying things for your business, you obviously should. Be specific about what you're spending your money on. My first year in business, I spent so much money on presets. That is the photographer's dumpster of money. Like, we pour so much money into the preset business, and it's so easy to keep purchasing, thinking that they're going to solve all your problems. They're really not. My biggest advice when it comes to presets and even just general things that you're probably spending your money on that you don't necessarily need is to do your research. If you're looking for a preset, I honestly suggest something like Visco or Mastin Labs, something where you can put your own feel on things without your work completely replicating another photographer's. There's so many photographers selling presets, and if you want your work to look exactly like theirs, great, buy their presets. But I do think going those other routes is a great idea so that you can get comfortable with Lightroom, learn your way around editing, and create something that looks more like your own style rather than another photographer's. Which leads me into my next one. Do your research and invest in education. This is obviously a really fine line to walk. With education, there are so many education resources, but be careful about where you invest your money. If it's something you really struggle with, invest in education for that. If it's something that you can figure out quickly on your own, maybe just do that instead. And do your research on the educators. Make sure that they can actually walk the walk, just not talk the talk. As in not only just talk the talk, because there are so many photographers right now offering education who just started. They're only a step above maybe where you are now. When you're investing in education, you want to hire someone and purchase products from someone who is leaps and bounds ahead of where you currently are in your business. I wish that there were certain things that I had invested in sooner, such as learning about artificial light. I took a while to invest in that myself, and I could have saved so much money and time just hiring someone to teach me how to do it instead of spending so long figuring it out myself. Into the next one, hire an accountant. Your first year of business, maybe you'll earn a ton of money. Super great if you do. Chances are you're probably going to earn a decent wage, but nothing too crazy. Congrats if you do though. But if you are earning money off of your business, honestly, I think if you earn more than 10K, hire an accountant. They save you so much money. My first year in business, I did my taxes myself. I was still in school. The year that I went full-time, I worked up until August at another job. So my taxes were kind of crazy. I was balancing school on my taxes and my full-time job and photography, and I decided to do it myself. I spent so much money in taxes that year, and every year since I have only paid a little bit or honestly gotten huge refunds from my accountant. An accountant knows what they're doing. Do not be afraid to outsource to them. They know what they're doing. It's like when friends and family shoot a wedding. That's like you trying to be your own accountant. It's not the same. You don't know what you're doing. So take that to the professionals. They can save you so much money. Okay, and that leads me to my next point, which is outsource things. When I first started my business, I probably did not have the money to be outsourcing a ton of crap, but as your business goes on, play to your strengths. Like, for example, I really am not great with emails. That's never really been my strong suit. Not because I'm bad at writing them, because I'm actually pretty good for my corporate job. I got a lot of training in emails, but I just think they're really boring. It's just not my favorite thing. So even in my first year of full-time business, I hired someone to handle my emails for me. I trained them extensively so that they could answer things just as I would. And that was so helpful to really keep my passion for my job going, because I found that answering emails kind of just made me frustrated. I didn't enjoy it. It made me frustrated with my clients when I'd get the same question over and over and over again. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take out the parts of my business that I don't love and give them to someone else. Hire someone to do it hourly. It doesn't have to be a huge expense, but this is a great way to kind of keep the fire alive in your business. All of these lead right into the others, so they're not even that like structured and broken apart, because that last one goes into my next point, which is keep the fire alive, but also still be hustling. I hate the word hustling, but it's there, it's happening. It's done. My first year full-time business, I worked myself into the ground. If you're like familiar with my work, you've heard me talk about 2017 and how it nearly ended me. I developed TMJ from it. Like, I seriously got like physically ill, as well as like my personal life obviously taking a toll. I seriously worked sun up till sundown on my job, which one, as much as it sucked, I probably wouldn't change it, because I learned so much about my business, so much about photography, so much about myself. But if I could advise other people to do it differently, I absolutely would. So you will have to hustle, especially that first year, and it's going to be tiring and it's going to be hard, but in the best way. But at the same time, you have to keep that fire alive. You have to keep the passion for your job. After 2017, I was so burnt out. I wanted to cry all the time. I was so sick of doing basically anything related to work, just because I had been doing it like 365, 24/7, literally never stopped working. Put aside time to go back to why you started your job in the first place. One of those things for me is putting together my own small, I wouldn't even say styled shoots, because I really don't love shooting like big tablescapes and stuff like that. But to me, just little mini photography passion projects really keep the fire alive. It's so important to really look back into your roots, take a deep dive on why you started this job in the first place, and really keep reminding yourself of that, because that first year is so crazy. It's insane in the best way, but it really is so tiring, and you want to avoid getting burnt out. Because I remember at the end of 2017, I literally was like, okay, I've either got to change something or I've got to retire, and those are my two options. And you don't want to get there. Cut it before you get there. So start now, plan passion projects, and also just schedule time for yourself personally. I talk about this a lot, but I schedule my personal time into my calendar so that I take it as seriously as I do my appointments with my clients. This last point is, I think, one of the most important, especially for us self-employed folks, where our job becomes our life. We do so much with our business that it really is kind of like our baby. It's like our little child. And so sometimes with our clients, we treat them like friends. And it's important to remember that at the end of the day, your business is a business. Shocker. Treat it as such. So the first and most important thing when you're diving into your business, diving into photography in general, is get a solid contract. That is the first step in establishing with your clients that you are a reputable and serious business that is taken seriously. When I first started, I wrote up my own contract. Yikes. It had some like decent points in it, and thankfully when I was using that handwritten contract, there's probably like 10 different clauses in it. I honestly am just like, that I didn't have anything go horrible during that. My first year in full-time business, I bought a contract from Law Tog, which if you've not heard of them, I'd highly suggest going and buying one of their resources. If you don't have the money for a lawyer now, their contracts are amazing. I still use them. I've added clauses to them, but like they are such a great way to start. And in my first year of full-time business, those are the contracts I was using, and I had 2 beautiful nightmare clients. I joke that they are who gave me TMJ, but it's not really a joke. I'm pretty sure they did. Here's the thing with nightmare clients. The way I explain it to everyone is there are crazy people in the world, and eventually they get married. And you might just be the one that has to photograph them. I've been so lucky to not have a ton of these in my career, but I did have 2 in 2017 that made me cry for like days. I know there were things that I could have done better. That's a topic for another day, but they were just like genuinely mean people. And if I had not had that contract, that solid contract with genuine legal clauses in it, I would have been so screwed. So be serious about your business. Make sure you're investing in a solid contract. Make sure that you are treating your business like a business. Otherwise, it will eventually impact you personally. Okay, this last one, if you take anything away, just kidding, take something away from every single point I've made in here, but if you know me, or maybe this is your first time here, this is something I'm so passionate about, is being yourself and finding your own artistic voice. It is so easy in this day and age. There are photographers on every corner to compare yourself and to wait until you're this perfect photographer, until you're this perfect artist. And that's just not the way it works. One, you're never gonna be a perfect artist. I'm not a perfect artist. I don't know anyone that is. And I think that's such a cool and beautiful thing that we have room to grow, change, and we can always be improving. But on top of that, you're never gonna have a perfect shoot. You're never gonna have a perfect photo. You're never gonna have a perfect anything, perfect wedding. Things are always changing and everyone's experiencing the same things. So don't compare yourself to other artists. Just figure out what really speaks to you and dive into that completely. If I could go back and talk to myself 5 years ago, I absolutely, like, my #1 piece of advice would just be like, find what you love now. Don't worry about what's trendy and just dive into that completely. Give it your all, because if your heart is in your work, your clients can see that, and then the people that hire you are just as passionate about your work as you are, and that is such a rad and cool spot to be in. So just find what you love, ignore other photographers, ignore other trends. If you love it, there are people out there that love it too. It's honestly that simple. So don't be afraid to just do what you love. As cheesy as it is, just freaking dive right in, make it happen. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel. I hope you got something out of this. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe here for future videos, more educational content, and a little bit more about my business. See you next time.